everyone, I'm Kasara, and today I'm going to be talking to you about my 2019 reading goals. I had a really great reading year last year. Check out my 2018 stats and all the books I read in 2018. I'll link them both down below. But there are a few things that I want to change this year. The first thing that I want to change is that I want to read more variety of books. So there are a couple genres that I definitely want to read more in. Those genres are sci-fi, historical fiction, mysteries and thrillers, and classics. So my first goal will be to read one book from each of those categories every month. So that should be really easy for me. I have a lot of books from those categories that I want to read, so it shouldn't be a problem. The next goal on my list is to read 12 books that are over 800 pages in the year of 2019. The reason why I have this goal is because last year I didn't read as much high fantasy as I wanted to. I think that's mostly because of the influence I get from BookTube. A lot of the videos on BookTube are focused on YA, so I get a little bit more excited when I see other people liking books. So I definitely want to read more bigger books, and specifically high fantasy, but I know if I say high fantasy, I'll just read like a ton of high fantasy and not read anything else. But I really want to diversify, like I said in the first goal. So my second goal is to read 12 books over 800 pages, and the easiest way to meet that goal would be to read high fantasy books, but I'm letting myself have the leeway to read other books as well. The third goal is a little bit of an interesting one. I've seen a lot of other booktubers do this, and I actually really liked it. So basically, for this goal, every book that I rated 5 stars last year, if I haven't read another book by that author, then I'm going to read another book by that author. So there are 5 books on this list that I rated 5 stars last year, whose author I haven't read another book by. So I'm going to do a mini TBR for this because it's only 5 books that I have to read, and it shouldn't be a problem to get to those this year. So the first book that I rated 5 stars by an author that is new to me, The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I plan on reading One True Loves. The second book on this list is The Nightingale by Kristin Hannah. So earlier this year, I actually was at a library book sale and I found another book by her. So I plan on reading The Great Alone by Kristin Hannah. The next one I don't have a physical copy of because I borrowed it from the library, and that is A Monster Calls by Patrick Ness. I haven't read anything else by Patrick Ness, but I did pick up earlier this year The Rest of Us Just Live Here, also by Patrick Ness, so I plan on reading this one as well for this goal. The fourth book on this list is Strange the Dreamer by Laini Taylor, so I technically have read a second book by this author. I read the sequel to it, Muse of Nightmares, also by Laini Taylor, but I consider it kind of one book because it definitely, you need to read the first one to read the second one. So I'm also going to pick up the Daughter of Smoke and Bone trilogy by Laini Taylor. And lastly, I read and rated 5 stars Sapiens, The Brief History of Humankind by Yuval Noah Harari. And I plan to pick up later this year the 21 Lessons for the 21st Century by the same author. So my last goal for the year, I actually set up back in October. It's kind of a challenge for me. Last year, I bought a lot of books. I found Book Outlet for the first time and learned how cheap books can actually be. But I have a lot of physical books that I haven't read yet. So in the month of October, I looked at all the books on my shelves that I didn't have any immediate plans to read, and I decided that I would read them in 2019. So I wrapped up these books that I didn't have any immediate plans to read, that I was really interested at one time, but maybe not as interested in now. Every week this year, I'm going to have to unwrap one of those books and try and read it. If I don't get through at least 50% of the book, then I have to get rid of it. If I do get through 50% of the book, I can either decide I don't want to continue reading it and get rid of it, or I can continue on reading it and I get to keep the book. Additionally, I will give myself the option to keep it but not continue reading it, to continue it later on, but I'm only going to let myself do that 12 times. So there's 60 books total. I'm really nervous about this challenge. I don't know if I'm going to get through the entire year, but I'm really excited to try. So last but not least is my Goodreads reading goal. So I read 179 books last year. I honestly don't think I'm going to get anywhere near that this year. I've started a lot of new things this year, including YouTube. This year, I think I'm only going to shoot for 100 books. I shooted for 100 books last year. I obviously blew that completely out of the water. And I'm going to shoot for 100 books again this year. I don't think it's going to be that hard, so I'm not really worried about that one. I'm mostly worried about the wrapped books. Everything else I think I can handle, no problem. But the wrapped books really makes me nervous. So that's all of my reading goals for this year. Comment down below if you're challenging yourself with any of your own reading goals. Thank you guys for watching this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.